Welcome to Discovering. Tonight we're in the Keweenaw, touring an abandoned Cold War radar base.
This particular one did not have any call-ins except for a single UFO.
And we check out a new shooting range in Ontonagon County.
We're keeping the gate open, and all we ask is that you are an OVSC member to come here and shoot.
And of course, we have to do a little bit of fishing. So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Up in the remote forests of the Keweenaw is an abandoned military radar base, a site once closed off to the general public and a hotspot for vandals and curious folks who like trespassing an isolated ghost town on the top of a mountain. In 2021, a group of Michigan Tech alumni purchased the 100-acre property formerly known as the Calumet Air Force Station. When I heard they were giving tours of this site, I was excited to see it for myself. The base is located north of Calumet, just off US 41 on Gratiot Lake Road. Also known as Mount Horace Greeley, this site is the highest point in the Keweenaw, overlooking Gratiot Lake and a good place to establish an Air Force radar base in 1950.
This is the former Calumet Air Force Station. This is a military base that during the height of the Cold War was a watchtower along with a bunch of others across the entire northern US against Soviet Russia during the Cold War. If ever at a point a bomber or a rocket would come over the North Pole, these sites would basically pick it up on their radar and then call in jets to intercept before they actually reached the country.
The data from these radars was fed directly to a computer located at the K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base south of Marquette, where fighter jets and nuclear bombers were stationed.
This is the ground-to-air communication. There are two arrays on the entire site. There's one on this side and there's one on the opposite side. These would send data to those planes that then would direct them to where they had to go. It was the earliest form of autopilot they had. The pilots didn't have to do anything if they didn't have to, and it would basically guide them directly where they needed to go, which is very impressive for 1950s, 60s. And this is the Gator building that would have all the data cables going into them.
The Calumet Air Force Station was operated by the 665th Radar Squadron.
This particular one did not have any call-ins except for a single UFO, which they didn't have any means of what they could identify what that was. So they had hundreds of these across the entire upper US. A lot of them closed down in the 70s. This one ended up lasting until '88 because even as technology grew, there was still a blind spot up here. And so they needed this base to last a little bit longer until technology finally caught up.
The radar station was deactivated in 1988. The property sat vacant until the late 90s, until a youth correctional facility called the Keweenaw Academy opened at this site. The academy shut down in 2004 and the property returned to Keweenaw County, where it sat abandoned for 17 years until this new group acquired it in 2021.
Roughly 305 people at the max when the military was in full swing. That included families and enlisted. This is the guard shack. There used to be a gate here. And now we're going to be moving on into the residential district. There are two neighborhoods here currently. This is where all of the enlisted family would be housed, as well as some of the staff during the academy. They're 3-bedroom, 1-bath homes. they're pretty much cookie cutter. There's only 3 floor plans amongst both neighborhoods. So far, the bones are still pretty good. It's basically just the normal wear and tear from vandalism and nature. We're hoping at some point in time, we would love to get these things back up to normal condition. It's definitely a long-term project versus the other more short-term ideas we have on the military side. We'll start working our way towards the military side.
First up, motor pool and the automotive center.
Where they would hold their ambulance, a few other equipment and trucks. And this is currently our home base. This is the one building that has power down here. And this is kind of where our central hub is for hopefully getting this all put together again. Coming up ahead of me is the 4 barracks that we have here. This is where the single enlisted would be, as well as some of the students were in a couple of these as well during the academy. We're hopefully going to be renovating this one straight ahead of us first. And just doing some hotel style rooms just as a start, and we'll see how what things pan out from there. We're hoping in like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, we'll get that rolling. And then over here is the rec center. This is where they had a lounge space, a half-court gym, a bowling alley, and a racquetball court. Over here we have the cafe mess hall. This is where everyone got fed, if not at their own homes, if they were family members here. This building over here used to be commissary, and then it got switched over to offices. That used to be the old engineering building. Had all of the drawings, blueprints, site plans, future engineering projects were all done in that building. And then these next couple buildings here, they changed a lot of different roles over time. I always reference this one as the admin building, where offices, paperwork, any documentation for the military. And then the academy changed it into classrooms. These 2 small buildings here used to be single officers' quarters, but as time progressed, I think one got turned into a medic center and the other one into something entirely different. And then you can see that we have full cell signal up here. We don't own that tower either. The county still owns that. They chopped out an acre of land for themselves. They wanted to keep the revenue from that, which is understandable. The one caveat we have is that they plow the roads for us in the wintertime because they need access to that building. Foundation you see here, there used to be 3 original towers, and then they ended up building the 2 that you see now and demolishing the old 3. As technology progressed, they didn't need nearly as much, and so they just had to rely on 2. And they decided just to leave the foundations because it was a lot easier than having to take all that out. So there's foundations for 2 other towers up here as well. We are the tallest peak in the Keweenaw. We beat Brockway, Bohemia, Mount Houghton. We're 1,540 feet above sea level here. This pad that we're walking up to is another foundation for that one of the older towers, and this is the natural highest point of the mountain currently. And then over here, this used to be the original engineering building, and then that got switched over to the chapel in later use. Then we have the diesel tank up here. There are 2 other ones below behind the wall. Those used to fuel the emergency generators at the powerhouse. Next up, we're going to be heading towards the bunker. The blueprints state that they could hold 100 people in an emergency situation. Once you get down there, you'll be surprised at how tight it can actually get. And there were bunk beds, an armory, and food and supplies as well to hold out. So.
The name of the group is Open Skies Project. That name has a double meaning. It was named after the Open Skies Treaty that was signed in 1992 at the end of the Cold War, and the site offers amazing open dark sky views of the entire Keweenaw. The goal of the Open Skies Project is to bring life back to this property and preserve the history of this Cold War radar station.
It was one of those pipe dream ideas, like if this ever came up, we'd have to try and go for it. And then basically I showed it to my cousin just as a joke. I'm like, wow, look at that, they're finally selling it, you know? And he took it as a challenge and decided to spearhead the whole thing. Got everybody together that was interested, and we ended up pooling our money together to bid on it. We made a proposal, and the county liked what they saw, and that's how we obtained it. And we've got a lot of ideas, a lot of things we'd really like to do with the place. The main goal is a museum up top. We're going to probably do a lot of rentals in the sense of the residential district, and then we're hopefully going to do maybe some office spaces. We'd like to get like the cafe running again, get like the rec center built up again to what it used to be. We want to keep as many buildings intact as possible. The fortunate thing about this base is since it lasted longer than the other bases that are across the country. Most of the other bases have gotten sold and either half demolished, or you have like one of these towers left, or maybe 5 or 6 buildings, but we have like 90% of the buildings original still here. And so it's a really good time capsule of what it once was, and we want to try and keep it that way as best we can. Like I said, we're trying to prep the dorms up first, get those kind of into living spaces, and then hopefully that revenue will then roll over into the next building, and we're just going to try and like slowly grow that out. It'll take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of money, it's going to take a lot of labor, but we're willing to do it, and we're excited to do it.
The high point of the tour is the top of one of the remaining radar towers. From the top, you have 360-degree views of the Keweenaw Peninsula, and you can even see Mount Bohemia in the distance. They are currently giving tours of the site every Saturday through the fall color season. No need to trespass anymore to see this fascinating piece of UP history. To book a tour, visit their website, openskiesproject.org. The Ontonagon Valley Sportsmans Club recently completed a new shooting range south of Bruce Crossing. They lost their old shooting range that was on private property, but now they have an even better location.
And I do want to mention that this property was owned by the most senior member of our club, Art Juntanen. And through the kindness of Art and his family, they made this property available at a very affordable price. We have 40 acres here. We're right on pavement. It's the best of everything for a location. And when this became available, we realized that we now had a place to build a range.
Well, I think it helps the community and the kids learning to shoot and shoot properly. I've hunted all my life, and I think it's important that they get gun safety. I learned from my older people in our family. They told me I couldn't. I used to have to walk behind my brother for many years before I could carry a gun. So this is a step forward.
What you're looking at has taken place in 1 year. This was all like what you see over there. It was all hardwoods. Jed Platsky came in and logged it. Excavator came in and did all the stumping.
We utilize all the stumps in the berm, and then that old backhoe over there, and then my skidder, we got all the stumps from here down there, and then we placed them in place with my pulp truck. And then the guy that did the dirt work, the stumping and then dozing, then he baled dirt on it and stuff. So, but just that project alone took Gary Peacock and I the better part of a month and a half. You know, every evening and every Saturday and Sunday for a month and a half.
Well, we have 5 shooting benches here, 5 shooting stations. Our range goes out 200 yards, and we have targets that are available for shooters. The range here will be open for hunters to come in and sight in their rifles deer season time. One of the questions I get, my phone's been ringing a lot. They say, Pete, what do we have to do to use your range? And we're trying to keep it very simple. We're keeping the gate open, and all we ask is that you are an OVSC member to come here and shoot. And we have membership forms over there on the post next to the gate. And it's a simple $10 fee to become a member. And it's not like we're going to recoup the cost of building this range from $10 fees. But the big deal is, by becoming a member, people who come here and shoot are now covered by our liability insurance. Well, we have a summer youth program that is every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. And all the area youth are invited out here. They shoot 22s and they do some archery over here at our archery range. Maybe this coming Saturday we'll break out some shotguns and they can try shooting some clay birds. We provide all the guns, all the ammunition, and we feed them lunch. And it usually runs from about 9 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, and it's absolutely free. Tonight, Al Sanborn, who just arrived, has a clay bird skeet shooting deal going on. I don't know how many people are going to show up, but I'm going to embarrass myself and go over there and try to shoot some clay birds. So those are the 2 events we have going on this summer. This fall we'll probably do a turkey shoot. The range is in its infancy, so as it catches on, we hope to have more and more events.
I hung out for a while and watched the Wednesday night trap shooting group.
Safety glasses and ear protection is mandatory. Don't load your gun more than 1 shot in the booth, and don't load it until it's your turn. We're gonna have fun, we're gonna be safe. You'll shoot 5, you'll be told to rotate down the line 1 booth.
They offered to let me give it a try, but I didn't want to show them all up. I'm just kidding. I had a hard enough time following those clay pigeons with my camera. Fishing doesn't always go as planned. The percentage of time it does go as planned, I feel is a very small percentage. I plan to be the 4th team member on the Finn Boda, joining Tracy, Chris, and Michelle for the Baraga Lake Trout Tournament, and we were going to win.
We are in the Next Gen, I think it's called, Baraga Fishing Tournament. Well, we're trying to catch the big ones. We're trying to win.
Yeah. Nice stinky sucker.
Unfortunately, their boat motor died the night before, and I was a half-dead angler / camera person. This was the morning after I hiked 42 miles across Pictured Rocks. But the show and the fishing must go on. So the plan was to just troll around the Huron Bay since we couldn't get out to the open waters of Lake Superior. The morning was actually calm with a beautiful sunrise. Rain was in our forecast though. They set up 3 downriggers and 3 surface lines, and it wasn't long and we had a fish on.
Woo! Good start, good start.
Well, it ain't in the boat yet.
I'll bite.
Oh no. Well,
Huh?
not bad. Yeah, look at the little. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It was looking good for the day. The first fish was caught on Alvin. I noticed the 3 downriggers each had their own name, Alvin, Irvin, and Patrick. I had to ask where those names came from.
The guy that owned the boat, Jerry, I can't remember his last name, he had 3 buddies of his that they all fished together out of Marinette, Menominee area. So he was the last living member of their fishing crew. So each of the downriggers is with his buddies' names on them. And when I bought the boat from Jerry, he told me, I need to know who gets the first fish. And I said, all right. So Alvin was the guy that got the first fish on the boat. So I called Jerry and told him, and he said, yep, he always got all the fish. So Alvin's always been the lucky downrigger. Patrick, Irvin, Alvin, and then Jerry had his own downrigger, which we don't have on the boat now. But so I thought about taking the names off of them, but it's kind of neat. A little backstory there, I guess. But it was kind of a sad day for him when we picked up the boat. I could see he was tearing up, and it was kind of an end of an era for him.
Fish on the bottom.
While we are on the subject of names and luck, Tracy and Chris bought their boat a couple years ago, and every boat needs a name. It's unlucky not to name your boat. So why Finn Boda?
On the way to pick it up, we went by a dealership, and being that he's Finnish, I seen Minn Kota, and I'm like, why not Finn Boda?
The fishing was slow. We marked fish, but nothing took the bait. Finally, one more.
Guess what?
Oh, sweet.
It's a little coho.
What is it?
Little coho. You see how easy he spit that hook out?
Oh my gosh.
Look at it pretty, eh?
Oh wow, look at that.
The forecast was accurate, and it did rain. I did not join my team members at the tournament weigh-in. Being a Saturday in June, there were a ton of other things happening that day that I had to get to. I don't think we won, but that's okay. We still had a good time out on the water.
Well, that's it for this week. Be sure to check out 906outdoors.com, where you'll find the 906 Fishing Report, TV6 weather, shopping, and more. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.